So this is Gates of Reincarnation. The Ari HaKodesh, Rabbi Yitzchak Lori, who is the famous 16th century Kabbalist. You know, when he went from Egypt and he moved to Tzfat, and he had a group of his students, and then he was teaching them for about a period of about 2 years. Not a long period, but of course, his main student, Rabbi Chaim Vital, wrote every single thing that he taught him. Every single thing that the Arizal taught him. Okay? So really, the Arizal never actually wrote anything. It was his student, Rabbi Chaim Vital, who wrote down everything. So among those writings is called the 8 Gates. The 8 Gates, okay, the Shmona Sharim of the Arizal. And the book that we are about to delve into is called Shar HaGilgolim. That's why it's called Gates of Reincarnation. It is the 8th of the 8 Gates. There are other books that he wrote that were written, right? Of course, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Like the gates of verses of Psukim, Shar Psukim, and then there's Shar Mitzvot. He wrote about the Mitzvot. Shar Kavanot, gates of intentions, the special Kavanot, or intention that we have for prayer. Now, the interesting thing about this book, there are 44 chapters in this book. 44 chapters. And the interesting, he doesn't call them a chapter. He calls them a Hakdama. What is a Hakdama? Introduction. So really, there's 44 introductions. Now, it's a weird thing. No one really has an idea why he called these specific things introductions. You know, once somebody played a joke on me, and they say, I want to show you something really important, and he puts on the videotape, and you know how the videotape before a movie starts, you get like a warning, FBI warning for copying, and then that fades out, and then you get another warning, and the guy basically did 2 hours of just warnings. Actually, I didn't last 2 hours, but he said, he was just like trying to imagine if somebody, you plug in something and you're anticipating, you know, okay, this warning is gone, now let's start the show, right? Of course, then another warning comes up, and then, okay, and then all of a sudden one warning after another. So in any case, here's obviously 44 introductions, which my father-in-law, Chusa Yagein Aleinu, may his merit protect us, was hired to fix the translation that this person did here. Okay, was it the same as this?
Very similar.
Very similar. They fixed this translation of this book here. Okay, this book you found this book?
Yeah, but it was prohibitively expensive. This one was
prohibitively expensive.
This one was only $48. If anyone wants
how much was the other?
Oh, the other one was like $100.
So if we, God willing, if we merit and we all stick around through the jungle cruise and people don't chicken out and run back, okay, if in the middle of the jungle they disappear, and we merit to continue on, so we'll venture into this, and those who can get it, and those who can't, and we'll just sit and listen and take notes, okay? I'm not going to buy this book for everybody, so don't plan this. You can get the book for yourself, okay? So, 44 introductions. It's just an introduction, okay? It's just the beginning. It's more of an anticipation, okay? I'm going to start off with something very important, though, that we're going to learn. And a lot of it is going to be learning because there's going to be a lot of terms. Because when we study the Kabbalistic literature, there are terms. Okay? Just like doctors have their own terminology that they share, lawyers have terminology, mechanics. Watch out for their terminology, right? Well, you need a new Johnson rod and a Fetzer valve, right? We say that, right? And what's that going to cost me, right? So you don't have no idea what they're talking about, okay? Right? Really, it's a chip chick that costs 59 cents, and he charges you $500, okay? You're at their mercy. So here, thank God, Kabbalah has its own wording, its own vocabulary and terms, that God willing, take it slow. The idea here is always, and I will always reiterate when we learn this, okay, as the parable that they have, the Sufi parable about the village of the blind. At the village of the blind, they pulled an elephant into the village of the blind, and none of these people had an experience of an elephant. And here they come out of their little huts, and they come straight for the elephant in the middle of the village. And each person is feeling a different part of the elephant. So the person who's feeling the tusks, obviously it says it's smooth, right? It's smooth, long, and hard. And the person who's feeling, let's say, the foot of the elephant, it's very thick, and the skin is very thick, and the person who's feeling the tail, watch out. No, let's not go to that part. Yeah, I think it was your turn. Your house was facing the exact backside of the elephant. That's right. And I stepped in something. Okay? So, in any case, everybody is going to feel a different part of the elephant. And then, of course, if you rotate these village people, they're going to get a different feel. And eventually, after each and every piece, they put it all together. There's going to be pieces. Be patient. Okay? Piece at a time. And don't hesitate, please. Slow me down. Because usually my tendency, I'm so sorry, I need to slow down myself down because I already want to be at like, go here. And I realize we're in exile and we're all coming from places where, I'm sorry, sometimes I tend to go too fast. So don't hesitate, please go slow down, Rabbi. Okay? So here at the beginning. Start here on page 1. In the original text of the Ari, like I told you before, each chapter is called Hakdama, which means introduction. However, we shall refer to them as chapters since that is what most English readers are accustomed to, so that's why they're going to call it chapters, okay? But you have to know they're introductions, because it's all an introduction, okay? Also, for the purpose of this series, we will divide each chapter into a number of sections, because they're going to talk about chunks, like I say, pieces, parts of the elephant, okay? So here we go, and what's called the 5 levels of soul. So we will begin with what is written by the rabbis, that the nefesh has 5 names, okay? Now people will ask me, where's the source of that? Where's the source that the soul, the Jewish soul specifically, has 5 names to it, okay? So my father-in-law, thank God, in the regular commentary, they cut a lot of what my father-in-law put in, and he put this in. So in the Talmud Brachot, it is stated that there are 5 levels of soul. The Talmud, however, does not explicitly name the 5 levels. We always like to look in the earliest literature. We'd always like to find in the verses, somewhere in Tanakh, where it's indicated. We always look for sources. We're source people, okay? So the Talmud brings a source here. It only states that the 5 times King David said, in these certain verses in Tehillim, Barchi nafshi et Hashem. There are 5 chapters in the book of Psalms where King David said, my soul bless Hashem. It always started off with that. The chapter started, Barchi nafshi, Barchi nafshi, Barchi nafshi, Barchi nafshi. Okay? And they correspond to the 5 levels of soul. So Baruch Hashem, if people ever ask you, where's the source? That there's 5 levels of soul. You always refer to the book of Psalms, and I'll tell you exactly, it doesn't have it right here, okay? Which Psalms are those? Where it starts off with, my soul bless God, okay? So their names, as they are being taught here, are already identified in Midrash Rabbah and the Zohar. And they are, notice how the writing that's bigger, obviously, is the original text of the Ari. And of course, when the type said it changes, that's my father-in-law's translation or commentary. So they are from below to above. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, and Yechida. Okay? And these are the Hebrew names. And we're going to get into a little bit about what their definition is. You can just skip if you want to, like, eye glaze at the bottom. There's a little chart which gives the direct definition to their names. Okay? But starting from below to above is Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, Yechida. And abbreviated, when we get more expert in this, God willing, if everybody passes this course, you will be a doctor. I will give a doctorate in the soul. That's right, doctor of soul. Okay?
Do you get out of base?
I don't know, not that kind of soul. Okay? Even though maybe they are the same, but we'll have to meditate on that. Tonight's class, I'm doing a meditation class, which this definitely helps too. Okay? So in any case, the abbreviation, if I take the first word of each one of those 5 levels of nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, and yechida, it spells out the word narnachi. Okay? Narnachi, not Narnia, Narnachi. Okay? They stole it from us, maybe with a little twang on it. Narnachi. Okay? Some explanation of these terms is necessary. It might be well to begin by drawing attention to an example from nature. This is what R.A. Kaplan did, which has become well known in recent times, that Eskimos have many words for snow. Some anthropologists say that it is 14 words. Some say it as much as 30. Rabbi Susan gave a class a couple of weeks ago. He did a Google on it, and anybody who wants to sneak a Google search, how many names for snow that the Eskimos have? You have 50-something, 54, 50-something. Meanwhile, I was giving a class like this and defied snow, and it happened to be there was some anthropologist in their cultures, and she said, so 12. Okay? Whatever it is, there's a lot. Okay? There's a lot of names that the Eskimos have for snow. At any rate, the idea is that they distinguish why between many types of snow, because snow is such an important element in their world. Doesn't it make sense? Yep. Right? They have chunk, double chunk, super chunk, right? Maxi chunk, then they have fine, super fine, venti, grande, and tall. Okay? And the whole list of others. And then they'll tell you a whole art if you wanted to do a report on snow, and you go and interview the Eskimo, right? If you can stand the cold. Okay? About this is used for this, and this we use for our igloos, and this is between the brick of the igloos, and you can give a whole report in books about snow and the different types of usages for snow. This we preserve this in, and this is what we put our polar bear meat in, and this is what we put our fish in. It is the same with artists who may distinguish and name several colors and shades, where laymen will call them all by one simple name. For example, red. Hey, I remember as a kid going into the paint store. I forgot what it was, the hardware store it was at the time. And there's red, blue, green, orange, yellow, right? And then you go in, forget it, right? You're totally lost. There's 35 shades of just gray, right? And blue, forget it, indigo, and unbelievable. I just want a blue.
And women know that from fashion, because fashion is the same way.
And men are colorblind, so we don't.
And then just say it's red. And
exactly. Oh, you coarse human being. You coarse specimen of a human being. Can't you tell what kind of red that is? Not only will laymen call them by a single name, it's red, right? But also their eyes will hardly be able to distinguish between all the shades and colors that artists can identify. So there's a similar situation. So it's a spectrum, like a color spectrum, a rainbow spectrum, okay? There's a similar situation here. Whereas we have in English one word for soul, maybe two. Spirit, I was thinking some people might call us the spirit or the soul. But people might, if you ask a person what's the definition of spirit, it's a very general kind of thing, and it might not necessarily depict something that dwells within them, okay? So he says there's one word for soul. I don't think there's any other culture which has other than maybe two names for soul. And if you find one, let me know. Even though a holy Elef Lahavdalos, with the division, the Indian culture, I don't think there's more than one name for soul. Okay? And a few others, maybe, right, in the English language for the word mind, right? The Jews have 5 words for soul, and many words for various types of intellects, minds, and mental processes. And actually, I think Rabbi Susan also mentioned there's more words in Hebrew for will, for the word will, ratzon, right, and cheshek, ta'ava, right? There's so many words for the word will, which also has to do with something beyond the mind, okay? And mind, there's many words for mind in Hebrew. And there's many words for soul in Hebrew, okay? So the idea really is, it's when you see that, you really got to get a great sense of, whoa. Because when you think about it, okay, the Jewish people, Jewish tradition has the patent on soul. Because if you want to go to do a report on snow, you'll go to the Eskimos. You want to do a report on soul, you go to the Jews. Because they got more names for it. It's not just 5 names, to tell you the truth, for the sensitive individual. It's really 25 that really bleed into 125. Because if you look at this color spectrum, and the real expert knows the difference between, in the spectrum, how many 25 shades of red and 25 of blue. Okay? So the idea really is, if you want to do a report, if you want to understand the real soul, and the entire world will come to that one day. The Jews, the Torah tradition has the patent. We have the information. We have the whole way in terms of understanding the soul. Okay? That's one unbelievable thing that should just smack you in the head. Okay? Thank God. Okay? The question is to understand it, and the question is to really experience it. Okay? So consequently, simple translations can never really define what these terms mean. And the same holds true for the names of the Sfirot as well. As we know in tradition, there are what we call the 10 Sfirot, or the 10 illuminations. If anybody has ever been in any of my earlier classes, we always discuss this, and these are the garments God wears, so to speak, in order to interact with his creation. That God is completely infinite, you cannot touch, or in concept, there's no concept to his essence, so to speak. But in order to him to have a relationship with us, he dresses in garments, guiding forces, ways to manifest expressions, and these are called the 10 expressions or the 10 illuminations, 10 concepts, okay? The concepts, so those hold true for the 10 Sfirot as well, okay? In other words, the Sfirot as well also can't be really translated. If you look at the first chapter of the Book of Formation, Sefer Yetzirah, said to be written by Avram Avinu, written down actually by Rabbi Kiva, one of the oldest Jewish books we have in existence. It says, the first whole chapter says there's 10 Sfirot, bli ma. You can't get to it. I guess the modern day description would be, can't touch this. Okay? Okay? 10 Sfirot, you're not going to get it. Okay? Bli ma, without whatness. Okay? Only what comes from the Sfirot. In other words, the idea really is, right? The translations are not going to really define what they mean. The concepts simply do not exist in English, and indeed they are quite distant from our modes of thinking anyway. Entire essays need to be written to explain what each word refers to. Nevertheless, we will provide translations of the 5 levels of soul, which will hopefully assist us and not hinder us, God willing, and our first steps towards true understanding. So here we have the 5 levels of soul in this little chart here. Going from the beginning, nefesh, which literally means like rest, Shabbat, vayinafash, which is like the resting part of the soul. That's the lowest level of soul. Ruach, wind. Wind is very active. Sometimes we're very emotionally active, okay? Or inspired. Neshama is breath, breathing, like neshima in Hebrew. Chaya is life or life force, or what we will call the source of vitality. And then there's what's called Yechidah. Now, he translated as singular, but I've recently found another awesome translation, which means unique, which is really, really deep. Okay? Which is really what it is when a person, through hitbodedut, and to really get through these, you need hitbodedut. Hitbodedut, which means being alone, and more or less a kind of meditation. The goal is to get to the level of soul called unique, which means what? Your uniqueness. Okay? Which means a total grasp of your unique potential to express your unique ability to express in this world, and also on the flip side, the same coin, your unique relationship with infinity. Okay? Your unique, how you are unique you're with Hashem in a unique way. Okay? So that's the highest level, Yechida. Okay? Okay, turn the page. Each of these levels originated from Ein Sof. It's a very classic word, a term that I hopefully don't have to translate it every single time. You guys should put that on your vocab list, on your refrigerator door, okay? Along with the mantra, Ein Sof is all there is, which means the unlimited light. Okay? Really, my dad would just say God is all there is, and that's the ultimate level of consciousness that we're all trying to seek. Okay? But the classic term is Ein, which means not, Sof, end. No end. The unlimited light is all there is. The highest level of consciousness that we all really, in a certain sense, the highest levels of our soul are already in it, and we are here to access it. Okay? But let's go. Each of these levels originated from Ein Sof, the light of the infinite, emanating out from the unknowable absolute one God, and they are described somewhat in the glass blower analogy which follows. Okay? This comes also from Aryeh Kaplan that he mentions. Right, in the Zohar, we find that the Nefesh is bound to the Ruach to the Neshama, and the Neshama to the Blessed Holy One. The three thus form a sort of chain linking man to God. The idea of these three parts is best explained on the basis of the verse, God formed man out of the dust of the earth. Interestingly enough, I'm just going to interject a little bit here, okay? That it says here, God formed man out of the dust of the earth, and he blew into his nostrils a breath of life, okay? This word that he blew into his nostrils was called neshima. Linshom means to breathe, and neshama. From here comes really all of the souls, all of our collective souls comes from this one breathing, okay? That God breathed in. And this is likened to the process of blowing glass, which begins with the breath, the neshima of the glass blower, flows as a wind, a ruach, through the glass blowing pipe, and finally comes to rest, nefesh, in the vessel that is being formed. So the neshama thus comes from the same root as neshima, meaning breath, and this is the breath of God. The nefesh comes from the root meaning to rest, and therefore refers to the part of the soul that is bound to the body and rests there. Just like the glass blower, where finally the breath of the glass blower comes to rest in the vessel. He blows through a tube into the vessel, right? That's where the lowest part of the soul rests. It's resting in that vessel. And so therefore the analogy is our soul also is resting in there. Ruach means a wind, and it is the part of the soul that binds the neshama and nefesh. See, they're all really bound and they're all really connected. Okay? It's not a separate chunk. Okay? It's a flow of the same. It's just an experience on a different level. See Nefesh HaChaim 115 of these 5 parts, right, of the soul, the Narnechi. Only Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama have a relationship with the body. This is in our tradition. We say the Nefesh really is manifested through the lowest part, the liver and blood. We say that the resting place or the anchor of the Ruach is anchored through the heart and the emotions. And the Neshama is anchored through the mind. Okay? While Chai and Yechida only surround it in a general sense, we say there's no real anchoring of the higher levels of the soul, the Chaya, which is the life force, and the Yechida, which is the unique force. They don't have an anchor in the body, they are surrounding. Okay, peripheral we call them. Okay, they do seep in ideas. Through them come the ideas of the will and the desires. Okay, but they're not really totally fully anchored in the mind yet. That's why sometimes people, they're working on a problem and they don't get it, right? And there's two ways to work out a problem. You focus, super focus. Or there's sometimes you release all your focus, and then when you're in the bathroom, you go, oh, I got it. And then,
So which is through the mind?
both of them seep through in different ways. It's just a different way of how the ideas fall in. Einfell, the Yiddish word is Einfell, which means falls in. It falls in. They have a famous phrase in Israel. They call it the Nafal Ha'asimon. What does that mean? It used to be in those days. Kind of. They used to have phones, pay phones. You ever heard of those things? Right?
Way back when.
And now in Israel, you couldn't do it with a quarter, nickel, dime, or shekel. You had to buy a special special token, and they call them asimon.
I remember.
And when you put the asimon in, it drops. So when the guy finally gets the idea, because most people are sometimes they're just so thick-headed, we say, finally, the asimon fell, right? The token dropped, meaning he finally got it, okay? Or even asimon nafal, okay? So that's where those things seep through. But it's not a constant thing. They're around. They surround, okay? Expanding on this classical analogy of the glassblower, Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan teaches that the glassblower himself, now because we fixed the correspondence in the glassblower analogy of resting, the wind, and the breath. Where's the rest of the parts? Where's the correspondence of the other parts of our soul, Chaya and Yechida, to the glassblower analogy? So Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan teaches that the glassblower himself is the level of Chaya, and the glassblower's soul is Yechida. Whoa. So you're talking about the Or Ein Sof, the light of the infinite, who has the glassblower's soul, and he has the life force. And then you have our levels of soul. And the idea really here is that it's really very powerful. And I gave a class many years ago in San Antonio, and some guy just, boom, the asimon nafal, the token fell. And he goes, oh my gosh, are you implying that we are constantly connected to God? And the answer was yes. And that was it. Right? That was it. I bought him. I had him then. I had his soul. His soul was mine. Okay. So in any case, he goes, yeah. He goes, oh my gosh, that's right. And wait till we get to what's next, okay? But it's just a really dynamic idea. Okay, and wait till the step 2. Nevertheless, it must be noted that this explanation of the names of the soul does not really ascribe between one level and the next any functional or qualitative distinction. The differences are only quantitative, along a scale or grade. The highest and closest to the emanator is called Yechida, unique, and the lowest and furthest away from it, while still in the category of soul, is called Nefesh. Okay? So it may be compared to the color spectrum. The differences between one color and the next are really quantitative differences in the length of vibration of the light. Stick with this word. Very important. Colors are vibrations. Okay? You know how we see things? It is so mind-blowing how we see things. Okay? We don't really see anything for what it is. I think I was reading through this one book on quantum physics, where basically the way we depict things is when atoms bounce off of it and they go into our eye. So we don't really see what it is, but we see from what the atoms are bouncing off into us. Imagine if you didn't see something, it was blind, and you would fire 1,000,000 little pellets at it, and from the trajectory of the 1,000 or 1,000,000 pellets falling off, then you get an image of what it is. You don't know what it is, but when they fire off of it and bounce off in a real fast way, then you get an image of what it is. That's how we see things, okay? So colors are also, they're vibrations, okay? A certain wavelength, energies, okay? The same thing by our soul, okay? One is long, one is short, and another is intermediary. Okay, these are like describing, let's say, colors or wavelength of colors. This does not prevent us from assigning one name, yellow, to one quantitative level, and another name, green, to another level. Whereas another person or in another culture, the dividing line between these colors might very well shift this way or that along the spectrum, and I think it does, right? What people call violet, people will still relate to blue or white or whatever, okay? However, all of this does not mean that there's no functional or qualitative difference between the 5 levels of soul. Rather, these differences are relative. These differences are relative, depend upon position along the scale, and they flow from one to another, as we'll see. Okay? So now, that's all just an idea of understanding of what he says by the Nefesh has 5 names. Okay? So now he gave you 5 names, and we have an idea of this scale. Okay? And now the next part of the text certainly says this, going back into the text itself. Certainly these names are not by chance or incidental. Okay? And the Hebrew says, right? Be'ein safek, there's no doubt that these names do not fall right on by accident or happenstance. They're very, very exact, these names. Okay? Nevertheless, in the end, even here in Shar HaGilgulim, the Holy Ari does not explain the meaning of the names of the levels of soul. He merely states that the names are not accidental or incidental. It seems that these names must be meditated upon over a long period of time before their deeper functional and qualitative meanings become revealed. But at least you got to know your map. Okay, sometimes you have to have a map of the place before you go into it. Not like now we just got Google. We have no idea where we're going, what neighborhood. I invited some people for Yom Tov to come to Houston, right? And where I live, right? The neighborhood, if you know Houston, right? So he just puts on Google Maps, right? He doesn't get a total picture of exactly, right? And as he's driving down West Belford, he passes 3 consecutive chicken places, and he goes, well, realizes what neighborhood we're in. Okay, in other words, right? They got a puzzled face over there. Okay, so now I forgot where I was. Okay, now I totally lost. So why did I get to that? Okay.
Shar HaGilgulim, the names, not accidental or
now I forgot where. Oh, map! You got it. Thank you. Map! The map! Like I say, there's 3 types of Kabbalah. There's 3 sections of Kabbalistic wisdom. Okay? There is theoretical, meditative, and then there's practical. Okay? So theoretic is what I've been doing with you all up until now. Now I'm finally moving to step 2. To move into some meditative, okay? My Thursday class, also, they don't know it yet, is going to be meditative, okay? Okay, so, yeah, sorry. Whether don't worry, not all the class is going to be meditative, but... And then, of course, there's the practical, which I do intend to go ahead and do. I'm going to be really risky with that one, but it's going to be fun. Okay, we'll get to it. Okay, like such as how to find a lost object in your house. Okay, wouldn't that be great? Yes. Rabbi, yes. Give it to me now. And it really is a segula. You can Google it online. The segula for finding a lost object, it'll give it to you right there and there. You say this verse, Amar Rabbi Binyamin, I'll call Bechesket Samum in Ayin. Rabbi Benjamin says everything is in a status quo of being hidden from the eyes, and God opens the eyes of Israel. You give a little pruta to tzedakah, a coin to charity, and you say Elokara the Meir Aneni, God of Rabbi Meir, answer me, and then boom, you will find it if it's in your house. If you lost it in the zoo, you're not going to find it. Okay? Yeah.
I looked for it and I only found something with the consonants, with no vowel.
Okay. You come to, if you send me an email, I'll print one out for you. Okay? And maybe because of you, you'll have a merit that will print one out for everybody else, and you can put that on your fridge door along with Ein Sof is all there is. Okay? All right. So the idea really is, theoretical is you need a map. Once you have a map, you know where you're going. And then when you know where you're going, okay, so then you can function in that area better. Okay? You know, so, or wherever you're going, you know where to go and how to navigate or who to speak to or where to go. Better. Maps are great. If you don't like maps, you know, so you can go to, my wife has great classes where there's no maps. You know, she has the husband ask for directions already, right? So, and me, I'm just trying to figure it out and drive around because that's what men do. Okay.
So
the idea really is when you're in the theoretical, it helps you in the meditative. The theoretical helps you in the meditative because you'll know how to navigate. You'll know more where you are in the jungle. Okay? This is right. But right now we're just doing the tour at 30,000 feet. Yeah.
Oh, no, I was reading the Segulot on Chabad. It said the most important part of the prayer afterwards is to get up and go look for the object.
Oh, you must do that. Yes, it's not going to come to you in four legs.
You have to go look for it.
It's not going to crawl to you. Right? Thank you. That's very important. But I'm telling you, I told this story to probably many of you. You heard it before. We were in the car, my keys, my father-in-law is next to me. Right, my master and Rabbi, and with all the kids are waiting in the car, and they're going to go ice cream, the park, and then my keys to the car. Where are the keys? And we're looking through the house. They're not where they usually are. Of course not. They're not in the drawer. Of course, my mother-in-law, the master. Okay, she goes in the house. She does. I'm a Rabbi Binyamin. She goes and she finds them in the dryer. Okay.
They fell
Not on top of the dryer.
They fell out of your clothes.
In the dryer. She comes out with the keys. Where did you find them? They were in the dryer. And my father-in-law just casually turns to me and he goes, I'm married to a witch. Okay. So, in any case, okay, you got to look for them. Okay, so in any case, the map, meditative, and then practical. Okay, so here but my father-in-law does say, don't worry. When we are learning this, trust me, he says, all of the writings of the Ari, when you are learning all of the writings, Zohar, right, Ari, any text, it is meditative while you're learning it. Even though you think that you're in theoretical, it doesn't matter. You're still in meditative because when you're talking about these concepts, like I say, as we sit here and now, you exist. There are parts of you, elements of you that exist on different dimensions as we sit here in this room. You have a Chaya, you have a Yechida, and they are totally connected. And as these things are filtering, going through your thoughts, they are affecting your highest levels of soul, that are affecting unbelievable worlds. Okay? It has a tremendously powerful effect. Okay? It is meditative. Okay? Now, here we get to step 2. 5 levels of soul. They're not, these names of these soul are not by accident. Okay? How are we doing on time? Okay? However, you must know that a person is the spiritual element within the body. And the body is only a clothing for the person and not the person himself. This is the most important line. If you get nothing else out of this class, this is so dynamic and so important. Because what is this saying to us? Okay? This is saying basically that the essence, your soul, okay? Haruchnius asher betoch haguf, the spirituality, the soul that is within the body, right? The body is just a garment. What is your essence? Your essence is your soul. You are what? You are a soul. That is your essence. You have a body. The body is just a garment. It is just a garment. Okay? That means not just the body, but all the mishigas of the body. Do y'all know what mishigas means? The craziness. Talk about real craziness. Craziness. All our bad midos. All our fakrumpta. Do you know what fakrumpta means? Yiddish 101. Thank you. Messed up perceptions of reality. Okay, right? right? Bad habits, right? Destructive patterns of behaviors, self-sabotage, body stuff, not who you are. I mean, it's the Bill of Avi wrote a whole book on it. You got to eat up those books. I'll give you a whole list of books. The Bill of Avi. Go ahead and Google, order them all right now. Scarf them down, munch them. By next week, she's the book eater. Okay.
More than 30 books.
Okay.
What is it?
Getting to know your soul.
Oh, I've already read that.
Oh. How about
It's a green book, right?
How about building a sanctuary in the heart? Got that one too.
I have that, yeah.
Okay, fine. Munched them all down already.
No, I haven't munched them all down.
Getting to know yourself. Getting to know yourself.
That I have that.
Good. So getting to know yourself was the entire book, which basically teaches, in order to have that connection with God, because you have to know your yechida, you have to connect with your unique self, you have to know who you are, right?
It's a very good book, by the way. Worth the money.
Definitely.
To know yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
I taught it. It's on, I have many chapters on the
several
SoundCloud.
Books, but it's
on
very
the
good.
bookshelf in Torch.
It's on its bookshelf. So, anyways, but the main gist is what he's trying to beat into us is your soul. Your soul. Your essence is your soul. Body is garment. When you walk around like this, and as you leave here, if you would remember it for a second, and just try to even imagine right now, just leave you for an open, wakened, guided meditation. Imagine you walking around your house, walking in wherever your walk of life throughout your work week, thinking to yourself, I am soul and my body is just garment. Right? Imagine you now with this new awakened sense of who you really are. It's a much more powerful sense of self then. I am soul. I am neshama. Right? I am neshama. Right? So when you say that and think that, you just realize I'm just in a case right now. I'm in a spaceman suit. It's a sophisticated spaceman suit. Okay?
It's
Very
an interface between
sophisticated.
the spiritual and
Right?
physical.
But it is just a suit. Okay? When Rabbi Nachman was dying of tuberculosis, he's coughing up blood, and all his relatives and next of kin were crying, right? And he's like dying, and he's like, what are you guys excited about? I'm just taking off my coat.
Yeah, well,
I got it. Everybody just say, I got it.
I got it.
Okay. Okay. Don't worry, I'm not going to take it to an icon evangelist kind of thing, right? I got it. Okay. It's not Sunday morning, I get it in me sometimes. Okay.
Start banging
I got
at the
it.
table.
We going to be soul. We going to be soul. I feel soul. Everybody say, I feel soul. Okay.
Amen.
Right. Amen. Amen. All right, let's go. So, where's the source of this, Rabbi? We love sources.
Right.
Show me where it is in Tanakh.
Show me the money.
Show me where it is in Tanakh. It's a beautiful, and you got to know this. It's a beautiful, beautiful source. It's what is written on the flesh of man, do not anoint. Okay, it's talking about the anointing oil. Okay, when you make the special spices of the anointing oil that they use to consecrate the vessels of the temple, and only the selected few individuals like the king and the high priest, right? This oil could only be on those people. It couldn't be on anybody, right? So it says, on the flesh of a man, do not anoint. Okay? So it says here specifically, if you look at the verse, right? Flesh of man. Turn the page. Okay? Flesh of man. Where am I? Okay? In other words, flesh of man implies that the flesh belongs to man, but it is not the man himself. Flesh of man is only the body, an exterior garment. It is not me. It is not the real man. It is therefore not worthy to be anointed. Okay? The flesh of man. Okay? So now we have to go to really step 2. Okay? So here, just step 1, lot of levels. Step 2, right? The names are not by accident, and really the understanding really is, you have to know, that is the essence of who we are, is soul. Now, step 3. Since man unifies all 4 worlds of Abiyah. What is Abiyah, Rabbi? Okay. Sneak down to the chart right there, and you'll see right there on the far left side, you'll see these 4 names, or 4 words, Atzilut, Bria, in the column there. Atzilut, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. The first letters of those names spell out the word Abia. Now, Atzilut, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, right there, you'll see right next to it. These are the translations, and these we know that God, in his essence, in the light, in his infinite light, had to filter himself. He had to contract himself in order to have a relationship with lower beings. Okay? You can't look at the sun directly. You need filtration. We cannot look at the light of the infinite directly right now. We need filtration. So he had to make what's called the 4 dimensions. And they're spiritual dimensions. Okay? Each dimension has its own set of worlds, its own things going on. Now, this is going to be really wild for you, so buckle your seatbelts, Dorothy. Okay? But let's just finish this paragraph, okay? Since man unifies all 4 worlds of Abia, by necessity there has to exist within him sections from all 4 worlds. And each section is called by one of the 5 names of Narnechi, which we said Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, Yechida, as we will explain. Okay, I got to backtrack, go off a little bit, okay? So it goes to the beginning of creation. There's a verse that puzzles everybody. I'm going to bring you a new explanation of this verse. And the verse says, basically, let us make man in our image.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Our image.
Who's our? Who's we, white man? Right? Let us make man in our image.
Let us. And who's us?
Who's us?
Right.
Everybody's going like,
Who's
whoa,
us?
whoa, 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 whoa. Who's us? Who's
Angels.
let us?
Angels and God.
Okay, so the classic answer of Rashi, the 11th century commentator, said that God had a board meeting with angels and basically made a proposal. Of course, he's the boss. They all eventually said yes. I think the first 2 got nuked, and then the third party says no nukage for us, and we'll go with yes.
And now the real answer?
And then there's a second answer, because a lot of people do not like that. Okay? Because what is this? The creation of the rubber stamp board?
Yeah.
Okay? So, the other explanation was he's talking to the earth. That he said, let us make man in our image. Meaning, I'm going to donate the soul. Earth, you donate the body.
Good.
Awesome. Ramban,
Yeah.
it's solid. It's tight.
I like that.
Okay? But there's another one. Okay? And this one I'm going to bring you. Okay? Because the interesting thing is, this is Naaseh, okay, Lashon Rabbi and Velonamar B'Kol Hashar Nevraim. It didn't say with all the other creations, right? All of the other creations, it was used in a singular term. It was not used in a plural form. Okay? Right? So rather, what God wanted was that man should be able to grasp and be bound all of those dimensions in order that according to the way he behaves, all of the worlds will behave according to him, if it's for good or if it's for bad. Therefore, when God was speaking, he was speaking to these dimensions and all of the entities that exist in these dimensions, whatever entities they might be, i.e. there is angels in the world of Yetzirah, of formation, but all of those entities themselves, these dimensions, these layers, these filters, God said, let us make man. Meaning what? We're going to make man. Meaning you have to donate from you to make the soul of man. Okay? In other words, everybody had to contribute. Every single element of creation gave into creating man. What does that mean? That means all of creation exists within man, within the soul of man. Each individual, the entire universe is included in you. All of those dimensions you have access to. Okay, don't say, oh, it's way beyond me, which some people do. Orthodox Jews say, well, it's beyond me. No, we're not supposed to say that. One of the biggest rules we say in Kabbalistic doctrine is man is a small world. Okay? What does that mean? All of the universe. I don't know if genie in a bottle would fit. Okay? Okay? But the idea really is, yes, within you is contained all of the universes. Even the dimensions that you don't seem to be aware of right now, they all had to contribute to make you. Therefore, there is a connection that within you is that connection to all of it. Okay? It goes beyond. Okay? So when he said, let us, he was talking to those dimensions, those filtration dimensions that they all have to contribute. Okay? It's a dynamic thing. Okay? Because really, what does it mean? That people, a big fallacy in the Yetzer Hara tricks us all the time and says, oh, wow, how significant are your actions? How much of a change can you really make? It's not much, right? Right? You really can't affect. The world is big, the universe is big, and what? No, you must never say that. Avram Avinu, every single move he was making, not a finger would move if it wasn't from a divine command. In other words, he was totally connected to all of the universe. And as he was doing a divine deed, as he was doing a mitzvah, or learning, or contemplating, whatever it was, he knew all of the universes were dependent upon him. And that is the attitude that we have. That is our Jewish attitude. That we know the world depends upon us. And we can affect the world. And the worlds in general. And we see it by Parshas Noah. When mankind fell, the animals fell. When mankind went astray, right, with his incestuous relationships, they found the animals also were doing incestuous relationships, which was a funky thing. Okay? How can that be? When man goes down, everybody goes down. Man goes up, everybody goes up. Okay? Let's just finish with this little paragraph.
It's like water. When the tide goes up, the boats go up. When the tide goes down, the boats go down.
Okay, but here this is not just like a tide that is a reactive. We have to be proactive in terms of our thinking and changing the world. We can affect the world. Okay, let me just finish this. Okay? Now, this is terminology, and it's going to be homework. You're going to have to know these worlds. Okay? This is, 101, because when you get up, believe me, after 120 years, your soul goes up, you're going to go, wow, thank God I was in Rabbi Cohen's class, because now I know that's a tzilut. Okay? Because otherwise, you're just running through the jungle, and you're clueless to what's going on around you. Okay? So then they take you to the room where the clueless people hang, and that'll be fine. Okay? Instead, you won't be you'll be a little less clueless. You'll be, clueless plus, which is better than clueless minus. Okay? A person's situation in this world derives from the state of his soul. Again, a person's situation in this world derives from the state of his soul. State of soul. And his actions in this world rebound back unto the state of his soul. What you do in this world affects your soul. It does. I.e., it's just garment, but the garment can affect the soul. Okay? Consequently, he may blemish his soul, God forbid, or he may rectify it. Since his actions take place in the world, they can also harm or benefit the world as well as his soul. He is connected by virtue of the resonance of his soul, the multifarious levels of existence folded up upon the other, and we'll talk about the relationship of one to the other, this folding up, because his soul spans all these levels of existence. He can affect them as well, depending upon the level of soul that he's starting out from. Aha! Where's my starting point, Rabbi? Okay, from this we'll leave it a nice big question. Okay? We'll stop right now. Any questions, anybody?
I'm a little confused about 4